Then of the 2024 IMF World Bank Group annual meetings bring together global leaders and representatives from countries and civil society to discuss the future of international cooperation from new financial commitment to joint solutions to tackle critical global concerns. Makta Diop, Managing Director of IFC, and Mustafa Terab, Chairman and CEO of the OCP Group, discussed sustainable agriculture, innovation and jobs for young people at the World Bank 2024 annual meetings. Here is an excerpt.
I'm here with Mustafa Terab. Mustafa Terab is the CEO of OCP, but he's not only the CEO of one of the largest company producing fertilizer in the world. He's a thought leader who has influenced so many people in the African continent and outside the continent. He's involved in many initiatives, including UM6, which is University Mohammed VI, which is training a large number of young African and young Moroccan. And he is combining this passion for long-term development with the acumen on business acumen. And today is an honor to have you here. One of the themes of the annual meeting has been what we can do for agriculture. And IJ yesterday made a big statement about how we should be changing totally the way we are looking at agriculture and thinking about it as an ecosystem. When he said that, I thought immediately about you, because you've been advocating, and your involvement with UN6 and OCP is a good illustration how to think about an ecosystem. So what to do to take agriculture in Africa and the rest of the world to what it should be?
Well, thanks for having me. Ajay is right. It's a matter of mindset and with what kind of representations we use to think of a potential green revolution in Africa. The mindset change has to be in terms of when we think of food security in Africa, usually we're thinking of Africa as the locus of food insecurity. And that's dangerous because actually Africa is probably the last remaining opportunity to secure global food security as long as we think of it a potential green revolution in Africa in a different way than what we had successful green revolutions in other regions. But we live in different technology times and specificities in Africa. It has to be a systemic approach that doesn't look just at agriculture as an activity, but agriculture as part of a broader value chain. So things like ag tech, agro-business are important, but also how we can leverage the skills and the talent of younger Africans. Today, there's a huge opportunity in that 60% of African youth is still in rural areas. If we can imagine and foster an ag sector that is high in the use of technology, where there is an opportunity, and also an ecosystem in terms of providing through agriculture this younger generation with, I wouldn't say job opportunities, I would even say entrepreneurial opportunities, then I think the sky is the limit. The other aspect is that it can also be not just a green in the traditional sense, but also green in terms of climate, positive contribution to climate change. This is where both agendas really meet, and the changes mindset is also being not seeing it as a zero-sum game in terms of we have to feed food, we have to cater to food security. It's going to be at the expense of climate, but let's see how we balance both. That doesn't have to, because food security and good agriculture depends on feeding the soils, on plant and soil nutrition, not just plant nutrition. And if you feed the soils and keep them healthy, they actually reward you by sequestering carbon massive amounts if you keep them healthy. So it could also be, very good in terms of increasing the carbon sequestration capabilities of African soils if we treat them well.
But, let me go back to some things that people don't know what you did. If you look at the evolution of OCP and the revolution that you have as a business leader created in OCP. OCP was producing fertilizer. And I remember, I don't want to say how many years ago, but you had a conversation where you're telling me, Makta, but I would like to, if I don't deliver the services to the farmer, they will not be able to use my fertilizers. And you told me, but they are not often having the right fertilizer, so they don't have the productivity gain they need to have. And you offer to test the soil for them to help them have. A few years later, you came to me and said, Mokhtar, is not enough. Now, why can I use the sun that we have in Morocco? We are one of the most largest producer of solar-based energy to have green hydrogen to produce green fertilizers. What is the next thing you told me? But you forgot that I need to have people to be able to do all that. So that's why I'm investing in making sure that the university are producing people who can do this job. So take us through the way you're thinking about ecosystem.
Again, this all points to the importance of thinking systematically and systemically about the whole thing, seizing the leapfrog opportunities that exist in Africa. You know, you and I have been involved in another African revolution, which was the mobile one. And if you recall, the opportunity there was to leapfrog a specific fixed technology, and it was very successful in Africa. So here, again, the talent exists. Training youth and in advance is important. Anticipating that, selecting the right technologies, in other words, is important. Okay. De facto, it is not a matter of using the same technologies used elsewhere. So in a way, there is a leap of faith in the whole thing, in that, and that's why it is not designing an ecosystem as much as creating the conditions for an ecosystem to evolve on its own, and trusting the youth and trusting partners, that it's going to happen and they're going to adapt their activities to the conditions.
It's interesting because maybe those who are listening to us don't know that. If you look at the team of Mustafa Terab in OCP, it's extremely young team. Okay, you will see people at very senior position in OCP who are pretty young. And it's kind of very different from a lot of companies that you are saying. So your belief in youth is very strong. Ajay has told us that, the most important thing, and I think it's shared by a lot of people, and the biggest threat to the world is the lack of quality job for people. That if we don't address that challenge, we will be facing even more difficult situations. Being surrounded with young people, does it give you a different way in thinking about job creation in a country, in a continent which is very young?
Absolutely, and I think this is a great initiative from the World Bank and from Ajay to focus on jobs, and I think this is where the World Bank can provide its most meaningful impact in a way, and if it does it with partners, I'm sure that it's going to make a huge difference, particularly again in Africa. And I'm also happy we had our first meeting of the council yesterday, that from the outset, the idea was to move away from the traditional understanding of what a job is. During the third industrial revolution, a job meant a career, something that is stable, linear, where your typical career, you're learning the initial part of your life and then applying what you've learned. This is completely blown to bits in a way by the new technologies, by digital, etc. And also how the younger generation views meaningful jobs for them are not these kind of career, stable-oriented jobs. It is more, what sometimes some people call the gig economy. It is being able to work and contribute to society, but at the same time learn as technologies are progressing at an exponential way, is being able to consider that learning and working have to be weaved in constantly. Okay, and that provides also opportunities for companies that can, I'll use the term, platformize, creating work, think of themselves as work platform, not just as siloed opportunity for work, kind of a Uberization of work, if you like. And the role of the bank, being policy also advisors to policymakers, is to make sure that this platformization of work is happening, to set up the right social safety nets. That shouldn't be just putting the youth in a precarious situation, but they can be basic social safety nets that are built to cater to this new conception of what work is.
Thanks so much, Mustafa.